Welcome to the most incredible marketing show ever. The show where each week a panel of respected marketing strategists, all trained and certified by the legendary Dan Kennedy, share their wisdom, experience, strategies, and insights on how to use Dan Kennedy's philosophy on business and marketing in any type of business, and that you can apply to your business immediately. Here's your host, Craig Valine.
Hello, everybody. I'm Craig Valine, and welcome to the most incredible marketing show ever. And this is episode number 4 in February. And we've been tackling this month the program Dan Kennedy created called The Phenomenon. And the Phenomenon was based on achieving more in 12 months than you have in the previous 12 years. And we've tackled 3 of the 5 chief triggers that trigger the phenomenon. And today's trigger is applying direct marketing and tools to help you get that phenomenon experience. So before we get started, Mike, can you explain what direct marketing is for those who really don't understand versus what other marketing is?
Yeah, actually, Craig, maybe we should have called this the most incredible direct marketing show ever, because that's the foundation of going forward of everything we're going to talk about.
Right. So,
yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. I guess I'm in my 3rd decade, which is really crazy. But the definition I give is that direct marketing at its most basic level is a form of marketing, whether it's online, offline, digital, print, whatever, whose the goal of the piece of the campaign is to elicit a direct response. Right. So I'm here on the East Coast. I've spent a lot of time at the Jersey Shore. I would see the band of planes flying across the beach, go to Joe's Burger Shop or whatever. That's not a direct response ad. Go to Joe's Burger Shop, mention this and get 50% off. That would be a direct response. It's trying to elicit a response, trigger a response, Craig. So unlike, most of the marketing we see on TV, on radio, wherever it might be, online, it's just brand marketing. It's awareness marketing. Hey, this is my brand. This is what we do. If they even say that. Direct response is about trying to get that person who's interacting with it to go online, to opt in, to go into the store, to create a response.
Excellent. So Becky, what are some of the strategies connected to direct marketing? So one thing that I would say is targeting. Right? Targeting exactly who you want to speak with. What are some other ones?
Yeah, so the triangle market to your market, just like you said, targeting to the message that you're trying to get out there through the proper media, whether that's online, whether that's through email, whether that's through text now. And when you put all those together, you want to be able to measure the results, right? So everything that you produce, everything that you do should have an ROI, return on investment, attached to it, at least in my opinion. And especially in the restaurant business. I mean, I ran 6 to 14 promotions in any given month, and we tracked every single one. But even if that promotion broke even, I kept it because it was a top of mind, just a reminder to come on into the restaurant. And so whatever industry that you are in, for those of you that are watching, when we talk about emotional direct response, we want you to put your marketing message together that's emotional, that makes people take an action, and then you have a return on investment for that thing. And you might get one of those 3 things wrong on the you should have had the triangle to show what that was. But if you get the one thing wrong, it may not work, right? So you have to go back and you have to test. We all get sick of hearing test, but you literally have to. If you change one thing, like a headline, or maybe your offer stunk and you up the offer, then that may make that campaign work for you.
I always say regarding that critical marketing triangle, I said, if you get any one of these wrong, you risk poor results. Like if you have the right message with the wrong market, but the right media, you risk poor results, etc. So yeah, that's a good example. I'll put that image up here so that people can see. Joe, what is an example of a great direct marketing tool?
Oh, there are a bunch, but I think the one that I like to work with is, first of all, it's targeted to the right people in that industry. Um, so I've got a client that is in the airline industry, aeronautics, I should say, and he sells a piece of equipment for, the local airports and things like that. He should not be going after the town city hall. He should be going after uh, the the manager of the airport. Um, we even took it a step further and promoted it to the pilots, who would come in and go, "You need one of these in your airport." Blah blah blah. Okay. Um, so to me, it's the direct marketing is the targeting to the right people, and then using, at least for the airports, you can do a postcard, but you can also do a letter, and they don't get much mail like that, so it's going to stand out. And even a little something on the envelope itself to attract them to open it up. Something that's going to make them want to take a look. Especially, you want to increase the number of airplanes coming to your airport. You want to increase your income, etc. So that's kind of where I think you want to go with the direct. Yes, there's getting out there and doing social media and all that other thing, but in this particular case, it's kind of a business to business thing. You want to go right after them.
Dan, one of the tools that I've used is direct mail. Talk about how effective that's been for you and your clients.
Oh, wow. So you just tossed me a softball here. Direct mail it has been one of the most successful media I've used over the years. And I have a client, I've shared this with the group before. I'm not sure if I've shared it on one of these episodes. I just recently started a new mastermind group. We met earlier in the week, and one of my private consulting clients is also a mastermind member, and I created a direct mail piece for him with follow-up, and he just shared this week that it produced over $700,000 worth of business. And and he's still using it. And but it started out with this direct response mail piece. And one of the things that a lot of non-marketers do is they forget that response, that call to action that is critical. And something that Dan taught us a while back, you want to give them more ways than one to respond to you, because not everybody will respond the same way. I have clients that sometimes I have to text them to tell them to look at their email. Okay. I have clients now that 3 or 4 years ago, I would have never gotten off of social media. And now I can only communicate with them by, some of them I have to go on Facebook and message them and say, hey, check your email. Okay. Because that's how I have to do it. So, but this campaign that I just shared, it all started with a direct mail piece that looks different, that is highly successful. And we've used postcards. I have a direct mail postcard that works phenomenally and has worked across a number of different industries. But the headline of it is a sweetheart of a deal. Okay. And when I first started using that was in February. I was tying it into Valentine's Day, and it just killed it. I mean, it killed it. And it's killed it in several different industries. And the interesting thing, and I think Becky was talking about testing, we've tried that exact same offer like in March and called it something different. Okay. We tried it in a different month and called it something. Nothing ever worked as well as that sweetheart of a deal. So, me being the smart guy that I am, yeah, right, I decided to use sweetheart of a deal in September. Okay. And it worked. Okay. So that was a piece of gold that we hit on. But again, it works very, very well. And I just put it out for some clients this month to use with their clients. But I said, if you're going after some cold prospects, this is a great piece to use. But yeah, direct mail still works. And if it's done right, you get to stand out because most of the people doing direct mail do a terrible job of it. Terrible job. So you don't have a lot of competition. Like I said, especially if you do it right.
You know, direct mail is only one of the tools used in direct marketing, but I want to ask Mark. Mark, in previous episode, you mentioned you were working with a DJ who commented on what can we use to attract our best clients, and you had an example. Can you share that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because as we're talking about direct mail and tools to use, there are a lot of distinctions that have to be made, I believe. And I think one of the biggest lessons that we learned from Dan was when he always said, media is media is media is media. So whether you're doing it in direct mail, online, or display advertising in trade magazines, I think the biggest distinction, and this is going to help a lot of people, because I think when you talk about marketing and branding and direct response marketing, it's kind of like nailing Jello to a tree. I think the biggest distinction is between direct response marketing and just awareness or branding marketing is branding lacks a specific offer. Right. Direct response marketing having a specific offer for a response or an action, whether it's you want them to buy something or whether you want them to just opt in to request free information. There's an offer there. I just wanted to make those distinctions because it's the deliberate use and the words that you use on the ads. We're all using the same media. We're using trade, ads, commercials, direct mail, whatever it might be. But it's either the lack of or the presence of an offer. And now to answer your question, Craig, I was telling the DJ, they're like, hey, how do we sell this stuff in the mail? This was a long form postcard that I used to attract DJs into my coaching program. And they're like, who's going to read all that? And as you can see, it's like wall to wall words and all the way down to the little box on the coupon box. And I said, well, how did you get here? You read every single word because the message matched the recipient. And that's why you have to be very careful when it comes to like running ideas by, family or friends that are not familiar with direct response. They're going to say, who's going to read all that? It's going to be buyers are going to read all that. The ones that are absolutely interested in what it is that you're talking about. We don't care about the non-buyers and people that it's not in their industry, but people that do want what you can help them with, they want to know more and not less. It was the lesson I've always learned. So, if you wanted to buy a car and you walked into, you're real hot on a new model of a car, you walked into the showroom, you don't want just a little postcard with a picture of the car. You want to know all the data on that car. So it's like, you're right. This is another Danism. Right for the buyers, not for the non-buyers.
Right.
That help?
Absolutely. We're going to cover a little bit about what other direct marketing tools are, but let's talk about what Mark just kind of mentioned, which are what are the components or elements of a good direct response piece. Richelle.
Sure. You got to have a compelling headline, right? If you don't have a compelling headline, then why the hell are we here? So some reason why they're going to be there. Call out who you want to talk to. Attention. You saw on Mark's, he had mobile DJs, right? So he was calling out his target market. You want to make sure that there is a double reader path, right? So on he's got white and then he had highlighted and then he had white again. So people can just look at the highlighted pieces and get the gist of what's going on. You want them to have some testimonials on there so that now there's a reason why to buy, right? They're looking at, there's testimonials. Of course, you got to have a compelling offer. At the end of the day, there has to be a reason for them to say, yes, that's me. I like to also add those almost people, right? So maybe they're not ready to buy, but in the almost, there is a, hey, but here, if you're not ready, how about grabbing my 5 ways of blank? Right? So I have on my automated email sequence that I actually just got a guy to reply to, I'll tell you, the 20 places that I love to find strategic partners, and we'll customize it for your business. If you want the list, just reply. All right. He replied, list. It's like, well, now I get to open a conversation, because conversations are the fastest path to cash. Yeah. But if there's no way on your marketing piece that doesn't have compelling headline, it doesn't talk to them, it doesn't show them, yes, I should talk to you. It doesn't have a dual readership path so that the people who just want to skim it, it still gives them what they want. There's no PS, there's no offer, there's no almost offer, right? Just to get them to raise their hand. Then you're going to be stuck, and your particular piece is going to fall flat. So as Mark was saying, media is media. We do all of that in emails. And if you guys have gotten our free gifts, you'll notice that we've got dual readership paths in there. We've got offers. And sometimes our offer is, hey, in tomorrow's email, wait to see, right? So it's creating a compelling reason for them to show up. And at least what it does is it gets them to raise their hand. So I know that the guy that just replied, that he's hot for what I have and he wants what I want. So now it comes down this funnel, right? That's why they talk about those funnels, those online things, as quickly as they can raise their hand and tell us what they want. It moves them closer to the hole and closer to the cash register, which is the ultimate amazing thing to do.
Hold on, Becky. We're going to come to you. Thank you, Richelle. We're going to take a brief break for a sponsor message. We'll be right back.
This episode of The Most Incredible Marketing Show Ever is sponsored by Dan Cricks, a.k.a. the Been There, Done That Marketing Coach, and Results Marketing. If you're looking for help growing your business and your profits, to get more information and free small business marketing and money-making info, go to www.greatresultsmarketing.com. That's www.greatresultsmarketing.com.
So we're back. Becky, you had your hand up before we went on break.
Yeah, just wanted to share one more thing about what Richelle just said, is when you call out the person who this is for, you also want to call it out who this is not for, and just get them out the way. So I loved everything that Richelle said. I just wanted to add that in there, because you don't want to spend time if they're not your people and and the message isn't resonating. So when you call out who this is for and who this is not for, it's a double whammy and works great.
Awesome. Ben, almost every good direct mail letter or email that I've gotten has a PS. Why is that important?
Well, I think twofold is the answer. One is part of the idea of putting forth this messaging is entering the conversation that's already going on in your prospect's head. And so, what are the things that are keeping them up at night? What are the things that are bothering them? It's the, this person, I feel like this person is reading my diary kind of response of like, this person really knows me. And within the structure of your sales letter, your email, your direct response postcard or what have you, you're going to want to cover all of the main things, but that PS really speaks to the person who's read all the way through, or maybe just as the person who skips to the bottom. It's your chance to kind of give them that little wink and a nudge of like, either you've been along with this ride for me and going through the sales letter, or you're just skipping. But it's like, I know you by the the PS, by the way, I know you, and it gives you a chance to kind of recap and give them the too long didn't read the full thing version of it, to get them to take that next step. I mean, if you look at the structure of these, the headline is to get them to read the sub-headline. The sub-headline is to get them to read the first sentence of the next paragraph. That's to get them to read down to the test. Everything is to get them to engage in some way. So your PS can be a great way of being that net to kind of grab them and at least get them to take some kind of next step.
Awesome. Joe, go ahead.
I was going to say, I want to add to Ben's thoughts here on the PS. when I send out letters, one of the things I put in it is I know people get it, they open it up. Oh, I know what this is about. I'll read about it later. But they'll skip down to see my name, and then the PS is I actually put in the PS. It's okay if you call me first, and it's like, wait a minute, and now they're going to look at it, and I've had a number of people when I've called them go, I knew you'd be calling me, so that's what attracted them. And they knew what to expect, and that works.
Great. Mike, one thing that we haven't talked about direct marketing is the list, a mailing list. How important is it to get the right list, and what should people look for when they select the list?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's very important because if you're not talking to the right person, you're just wasting money. List selection. So it's not necessarily just a mailing list, right? It could be email list, it could be whatever. But the list is a critical component. The people that are really good at that are highly specialized. There's been in the past, I don't even know if they're around. I haven't used them in years, but the different companies that are out there that you can buy, a compiled list, which is the most basic kind of list, name, email, contact information. And then there's more in-depth lists where you now have buying habits or what they've bought. So, the more specialized a list is, obviously it's going to cost more to buy or rent. But, those are the lists where you have some data that you can now use in your marketing campaign. And I think probably all of us know Craig Simpson, who was a longtime Dan Kennedy guy. I was in Dan Kennedy's mastermind with Craig for a number of years. Craig is probably, definitely one of the good guys, and definitely one of the masters at, creating and getting the best list possible for your campaign. So, yeah, I mean, to your specific question, Craig, it's critical.
Mark, what do you have to say about that?
I think one of the most neglected things with Main Street businesses, for example, is their lack of having a list. And Becky, you could probably relate with restaurants. I think a lot of them, they rely and they have a belief that the traffic is just going to come because they're in a trafficked area and they're just relying on organic traffic. But the value of creating a list, and in a restaurant business, you could do that with birthdays, right? Any business can become a direct response driven business. You build that list because, think about it. If you're an advertising victim, somebody sold you the repetition of an ad in a Clipper magazine or something, you got to be there every month because you're really selling to only the 3% that are in the market that day. Right. But think about this. If you built your list in any Main Street business, you don't have to wait for the next issue or to come out. You could skip some months of advertising because if you have that list, you could be sending promotions to that list, whether it's a text message list or an email list, and really be able to nurture that list even without the expense of the lead gen ad that got in there to build it. So there's just so much value in the list. Every business should be in the direct response list building business.
Well, you just said it, during the pandemic, a lot of restaurants went out of business because they had no communication with their customers, and it's like if they had just a basic email list, let alone a mailing list, they could have been reminding people why to come in, special offers, etc. Dan, what do you have to say?
About the list, if you're going out and getting a cold list, spend a little bit of extra time on that list and who it's going to. I had a client one time they did roof repairs, and they came to me to write a sales letter for them. And I said, well, what about a list? And, oh, no, we got a great list. We have an awesome list. We just want you to write the letter, and we'll do everything else. I wrote the letter. They loved it. They thought it was fantastic. They mailed it out. About a week and a half later, I reached out. How's the response? We have nothing. We got 0 responses. And I was like, wow, are you sure these got to the post office? Are you sure they got out? So they did that. Yeah, they all got out. So it came back. I said, tell me about your list. Well, they looked at one aspect of the list. They went to higher income neighborhood, right? The part of the list that they didn't pay attention to was all of the homes in that neighborhood were less than 5 years old. How many homes that are less than 5 years old need a roof repair?
Right.
Almost none. So they're mailing a service to somebody that doesn't need what they have. So they just looked at it from an income perspective, and a lot of people do that. I want to go to, this income, and whether it's blue collar, high end, whatever it may be, but it needs to take more into account than just that. So spend a little bit of time, think about what you're going after.
You know what, Dan, that's what we were talking about a few episodes back, right? Because we're always talking about the phenomenon about that money thing. So their thing is, oh my gosh, I need you to go, where the money is. Well, where the money is, they don't need you. So what a dumbass idea.
Dan mentions in the magnetic marketing recordings of him taking a client, I think it was a carpet cleaner, around to where the guy had bought a list. He was like mailing to everybody, and it ended up that these were trailer parks or had, broken down cars in their driveway and drinking a beer out in their porch and stuff like that. It wasn't their market. And, that is a big problem when people buy a list. It's number one, buying a reputable list, but number two, from a reputable company. Number two is making sure you know what the factors are, the segments that you're looking for when you're doing that. Becky?
I just want to say, since we're piling on about the list, which every business owner should have a way to collect emails or addresses, but at least emails, that then you should also tag that person. And so here's the lesson that I totally screwed up on way back when with the restaurant. I didn't segment the list, right? I was just collecting their names and emails, which was better than nothing. And what I ended up doing after I was like, oh, I want to do actual promotion. So we had a big bar, we had a big sushi bar, and then we had the hibachi tables. And what I started to do when I got them to sign up for the list was checkbox themselves. Where are you going to, be the most, at the bar, at hibachi, or sushi? So then when I had a sushi promotion, like our sushi and sake pairing, I could just send out to the people that click sushi. So I wouldn't have to spend a whole lot of extra money if it didn't fill up just from our email. And so once you get your list, segment them on how you want to talk to them, because you're going to talk to, let's take a roofer, somebody who put a new roof on this year versus somebody who's put a new roof on 10 years ago, right? You're going to talk differently to those people. So once you have your list, get in your mind, do your best to segment and tag those people how you want to be able to talk to them. And I'll just share that in my 7 years at that place, we had over 63,000 unique people, so that when I sold it, all they had to do was keep communicating with the list, right? I mean, that's enough to fill the Pittsburgh Penguins arena. When you think about that volume, like, that's pretty incredible. They didn't have to do any other marketing at that point, because they had a list of 63,000 unique individuals who all raised their hand and said they wanted more information about the restaurant. So segmenting your list and having a way to do that with like an active campaign where you can actually tag people and segment them, which is like an email, one of your email providers, or if you have a loyalty program or those types of things. But have the list and segment the list so you can talk to them all differently.
Amen. Ben, your comments on that?
Sorry, trying to get to unmute. Yeah, certainly with the email lists and knowing who you're talking to. I mean, that is one of the keys of direct response is, like I mentioned earlier, entering the conversation in their head. And if you have specifics on them, like that they like sushi or whatever, the more that you can show that you are communicating, you get them, you have an offer that's specific to them, the more effective that your marketing is going to be. And it can also give you insights into where you can expand. If you look at your list and you're 80% sushi enthusiasts, then you can make some business decisions based on that too. Or you can go and target bringing in more people like that. So the more information you can have in terms of your segmentation on your list, whether that's a direct mail list or an email list, the better you can communicate with those people, and the more rapport you're going to build with them, because they don't feel like you're just sending them a generic marketing message. It's a very direct marketing message to them that they'll more likely to respond to.
Oh, Ben, you're the marketing funnel king. So your people that you work with, I mean, do you help them with that?
Yeah, I mean, as much as possible, like and it's all about what just fits with the group too, in terms of when you ask them the questions. Becky, like you said, are you more interested in sushi? Are you more interested in the bar? So it's about on the front end trying to determine, which of your segments they fit in, and then not only is there asking them that, but there's like tracking what their behavior is. What are the types of things that they're clicking on? What are the types of things that they've bought, so that you can come back to them with more things like that. The money is in the list, and the money is specifically in the list of people who are already customers, who've already opened up their wallets and made a transaction with you, and then they trust you with their money, and so you can go back to them as one of the core people for your business.
Yeah, so we're wrapping up shortly. Joe, as a CRM expert, what's your advice to people regarding the list?
Well, with the list, one is, yes, getting that direct message out. Two is follow-up. If you ask them, like in my case, what we offer, so as a group here, when someone signs up for my digital marketing book, they do get a response immediately. Of course, they get the book as a download. But then I get notified, and I actually have a task to follow up within a few days to connect with them, find out what they're looking for. Does the book work for them? Do they need another copy, etc. So that's what you do with the CRM system. You automate that part of it, and that's where it goes. And then you get them into a regular follow-up of emails that are interested to them. So that's what it is. So you have it automated for that.
Mark, and then we're going to wrap up with Richelle.
Wanted to throw this in there because we talk a lot about CRMs. We talked about email and direct mail, and I showed long form copy. I want to clarify for some of the viewers that when you write the sales letter, which I always like, write the sales letter first, as far as anything, because this becomes everything else. I send out more videos and video newsletters than I do long form copy. But this postcard essentially is the script for a video. So I wanted to just point that out, that if you start by writing the sales letter first, it turns into everything else. So then you can do videos, you can do audio, podcasts, whatever it may be. But essentially, if you write the sales letter, you can really hone down your pitch, can it and clone it, and then repurpose it as many ways as you can. Deliver with the CRM, deliver video emails. I do that a lot, video emails. So whether it's video, audio, or words in print, use it all.
Yeah, great tool. Video, great tool for specifically speaking to someone targeted. Richelle, close us out. Tell us last words on everything we've been talking about.
Wow. Well, last words on direct marketing and tools is if there's any one thing that Dan taught us, it's about using every piece of media that you can to reach your target market. So, not only hit them with a direct mail piece, but, Mark just gave you the template, right? Cut it up, make it into smaller pieces. Now you've got this big size postcard. You can follow it with little postcards, but ask them to go to the website to opt in. You remember those old little pearls back in the day, the personal URLs, right? Where they go to the website and click it and then put in their email. Now you can follow up with the email sequences. If they give you their telephone number, now you can follow it with text too, but just use every piece that you have. Remember a couple episodes ago, we were talking about massive implementation. Some of that is once you get that wonderful sales letter done, break it into pieces. I was competing for marketer of the year with against another guy, Chris Hearn, who beat me that time. And I was like, oh my gosh, like you really had 72 pieces? Like you created 72 pieces? And he said, yeah, I created 72 pieces, and I didn't do it all at once. I created one piece, but when I didn't get the response that I wanted, I sent out multiple things. Sometimes it was the same email, 2 times. But that's how I did 72 pieces, over a steak dinner and the wine that he actually paid for. He was also an IBA with us, but that's how I figured out how to win, is not only win in business, but get the results that you want by using multiple pieces of direct mail, direct mailed emails, direct response, text messages, so that it all works together for one common goal.
Excellent. I'm going to wrap up, actually. Richelle, I was going to end on you, but then I decided I have something to say. One thing we did not focus on, but it was implied in measurement, is ROI. And so ROI versus response rates, like, what's your response rate? That's a kind of a vanity metric versus a scientific metric. Really what we want to know is, did it make us back the money that we invested in it or more? And what I had a discussion with a client of mine who owned a karate school. He says, I'm always losing money on the front end. I barely make my money back when I send a letter. And I said, barely make money when? He's saying on the first sale. And I'm like, but how long do they stay with you? So we have to think about customer value. It's like he would make on average $5,500, but he was spending about $2 on the freaking mailing, or $2 on that one piece. So you got to think about, whenever you do something, you put an offer out there. It's like, number one, during the transaction, can you increase the transaction value? But how much will they spend with you over the time of the relationship with you? So things to think about. Again, another great episode of the most incredible marketing show ever. If you liked anything you heard here from anyone here, please reach out to them. Their information is in the bio and description below. Also, they have also given you a free gift, which is available at mostincrediblemarketingshow.com. And we do new episodes every Thursday. So we hope we'll see you then. So again, for everybody here on this panel, thank you so much. And to our viewers and listeners, we will see you next week. Thank you so much.
See you, everybody.